If you haven't heard, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor distributes your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, today I talked to my friend Bonolo Mfikwe about our challenges with visual impairment and how we see right now. And we also dive into the thought process that goes behind choosing the father of our children as women with visual impairment. Enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome back to Growed Up, the show where I, Fernannd'O, talk to you about all things related to life concepts of adulthood. We compare them from when we were kids to adults, and then now I'm adding a twist. We're going to do this thing from the lens of a blind woman, right? Why? Because I am a blind woman, right? So today, I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm here with my good old friend, Miss Mfikwe. What a guan.
Hi, friend.
So, like myself, she's another blind old woman. I'm joking. We're not we're visually impaired. Are you considered legally blind, friend? Nah. And you carry the title I am blind.
No.
Have you considered it?
I'm partially sighted.
Okay.
I have, but it's too much of a strong word for me to absorb. And that's just more of my own issues there going on. For me to say I'm blind, it's too much for me. So I'm saying I'm partially sighted. So even when people say when people say you're partially blind, I'm like, don't use the blind word. Don't, because I'm not blind. Don't
that
do that.
That is so cool. I had the same struggle, right? Where it's like, and worse because now I was with the Braille guys, right? So I was in the blind section back in school. So I was the blind kid, but I could see better than the blind kids. So I've always kind of like, I'm not blind. I'm partially sighted. But then it's like I am more blind than the partially sighted people are.
My issue was the opposite, because my eyesight was worse than the sighted kids. And I remember even in school, there were times where I was advised to go learn Braille, and I was like, I can't do this. It's too much. Like, it just, for me, it was just affirming just how bad. Yeah, it was like, no, guys, I can still see. In as much as I know my eyesight is quite, it's quite severe, man. It's quite severe. So it was too much for me to be. Even now, I still carry that. I'm like, don't call me blind, guys. I'm not blind.
Well, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My partially sighted friend, Miss Mfikwe. I'm embracing the blind thing now. I used to say partially sighted, then I was like, I'm not partially sighted enough. And then I used to say partially blind, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm legally blind. So it is what it is. Yeah. And yeah. It's all good. I don't know.
How did you come to that though?
Branding is actually.
How did you come to that?
Branding is what's making it a thing that I have to really make a clear distinction, which is weird, right? Like I have to identify my brand. What am I doing? Who am I speaking to? What do I do? And then my experiences also are more similar to like that of like a blind person, I'd say, than that of a partially sighted person. And it's funny because within our space, right, partially sighted is the sighted guys. Remember how it was? You guys were the sighted guys and
Yeah.
we were the blind guys. But in the real world, it's a whole different.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just having to like, oh no, I'm a liar. You know what I'm saying now? I'm not saying blind. I do say blind sometimes, but you know what I'm putting on paper? Visually impaired. That's what I'm using now.
I think that sounds more politically correct for, because I also use that one in terms of, I think that sounds more, when a person wants more info, that's where I'm like, I'm partially sighted. Like I get what you mean.
Yeah. For me, it's more like I'm partially blind because I've got like, whoa, now my eyesight was what? It was so bad. What was it? Was it like, because I only see with one eye and I think I had like 15% vision now. So it's deteriorated from the last time. What did he say? 5? I can't remember now. I'll ask around what they said. But it's below 15. 15, yeah. So my eyesight and this happened in the past year, having come to Rustenburg because it's very dry. So my eyesight has deteriorated. So I'm starting to live the blind experience. I'm starting to feel it. And it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm having a mini panic attack when I just saying it.
Right? It's not nice.
I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm having a panic, like a mini panic attack, like as you're saying it. No, but it this is one thing that I was even sharing with my mom the other day, that I really want to go to therapy for this, especially for you and I, because we can relate, because we were born with
full sight. We're
perfect
like
eyes,
perfect vision,
full sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were fine, and then whatever happened, and then we are where we are now. But honestly, we yes, it's good that we were able to navigate the best way we were able to, but this thing was traumatic.
You know what? It was. And I think I haven't really processed it, hey. I don't know why. I don't know why. But I haven't really like sat down and thought about that you're saying, like because I mean it was like 10 years that I had full vision. I could see for 10 years.
Knowing what I know now, I would have insisted then to my parents to go to therapy, but also extending a bit of grace to them and to myself. Therapy, it wasn't what it is now, in that my understanding of it, apart from the fact that I was a child, and also my parents, they were old. I mean, they're old school. For them, therapy, you go there when you are,
when you have a
quote
problem.
unquote, and for them it was like, it was a problem. It is a problem, but I never, like you said, we never process this, right?
I think with
It's
kids,
only
it's
now.
the kids go to therapy when they exhibit behavioral issues. So because we were good girls, still are good girls. Like we are the good kids. So even after this thing happened, we didn't act out, we didn't misbehave or anything. We were still good kids, right? So it didn't evoke that need of like she's traumatized, that's why she's behaving this way, and maybe she needs to go see a psychologist for this. Because I went for therapy, but for a weird reason, right? Because after I had Steven Johnson syndrome, for those who don't know, and this is a allergic reaction that you get. So your skin is essentially your skin attacks, your body attacks itself. That's kind of what happened, and it was caused by I had tetracycline. I had an eye infection and we used tetracycline, and then my body attacked itself. So that affected my entire body. So the whole experience in itself was a traumatic experience, right? So from then I couldn't see. So I went into this disease or this thing I could see, and then when I came out of it, I couldn't see. And that the only trauma obvious reaction that I had was I decided that I'm going to close my eyes and I'm not going to see because everything was too bright. So for about 6 months after I was discharged from hospital, I physically blinded myself by closing my eyes. And I wouldn't open my eyes for anything. And that's why they took me to a psychiatrist to be like, girl. And I remember sitting there and I told my mom, I'm like, this lady's just going to tell me to squeeze my eyes and open and do that in repeat. I know that's what she's going to tell me. And that is what they told me to do. And I did it and I opened my eyes, right? But that's the only like in response so that I gave that something was wrong. But after I started seeing, then there wasn't anything else that was obviously a trauma response. And that's why I think we didn't go further with the therapy thing. Did you go at any point?
You see why we need therapy? We no, because when I lost my eyesight, it was also such everything happened so rapidly, man. Like it was literally a thing where I just got sick physically. Right, I went to the doctor. They thought I was diabetic, of which I was not. And then even now I'm not diabetic. And then they thought also, in black families, I don't know what it's called in English, like nyoko. So they just thought I had that type of thing because I couldn't keep anything down. So, and also I lost like a lot of weight. Like I've always been a chubby child, but I lost a lot of weight. And then literally not, I could not see anymore. Like I remember I was in class and then it was literally that, right? So, which is why even now doctors are still, it's like, it's still a mystery, man. Like it's
like
still that
what
thing out there, but
caused your
how?
blindness?
Because when this, man, for a lot of people who they lose their eyesight, it happens in stages.
Yeah.
It's not just the thing. And for me, that's what happened. So, which is for me, it's also better aligned with my spirituality in terms of my spiritual journey. So it's because even now the things I see medically they can't explain. Like literally, I see this certain color that it's like medically it doesn't make sense. So I want.
Really?
So
Are you able to
you see
describe
the
it?
color? Yeah,
Okay.
I see orange, but orange you see how fire looks.
Yeah.
It's orange, and then it's got a bit of green, it's got a bit of red.
A bit of
It's got, you
bluish.
see how
Yeah.
bluish, that's even now as I'm talking to you, I see that thing.
Wait, so that's how,
so,
is that like in the hue of your sight? Like that's what you see? That's how you see?
I see it. It's scattered. That's the thing.
Oh,
but
shit.
It's scattered, but then I see it also, it can also be concentrated. Like if I move maybe my eyes in a different direction, it's concentrated.
You
Like
know,
I can pull, it's like a ball.
I know
It's playing
what you're
around
talking about. I know what you're talking about because if you it's almost like if you close your eye and you squeeze your eyeball, it does that. It has that fireball, like a planet type of thing, right? Is that what it is?
It's like, you see Jupiter, ne?
Yeah,
I haven't seen, but the
I
images
know.
we have of Jupiter.
Jupiter is green, my friend. Let's not do this.
Okay, not Jupiter, but I'm
Mars.
thinking of the
Let's go to
planets.
Mars.
It's Mars, man.
It's
It's the
Mars.
orange one is Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mars. So it's Mars, and then it's that green, and not green. I mean that
the
orange
fire. Yeah,
color,
that red.
fiery color. But then it gets concentrated, ne? But then it gets scattered.
Is that how you've always seen?
It's so, the thing is now, the messed up thing is like, if this thing could get removed right in my head,
you would see.
I think I would be able to see, but I don't know, because that's where I wouldn't say the challenge, because then I, I've been asked this before, where like, if this thing gets removed, do you think you'll be able to see? Do you think this is what's blocking you? It's a yes and a no.
Yeah.
Because if I position my eye in a certain way, even if it's like for 2 seconds, that thing, I'm able to position it away from whatever it is I'm concentrating on. So if I look at my phone sideways, the orange thing, it somewhat shifts for me
That's
to see.
interesting.
And then whatever it is that I'm reading at that time, I can see clearly, and then it comes back. So I don't know whether it's the thing that's blocking. I know, mainly. I
No,
know,
dude,
my friend.
it's not
You see why
even.
I'm weird, guys.
No, this is
You
cool
see why
because
I'm so weird, guys.
no, but that is literally then when you lost your sight. That's how you've seen
Mm.
all these years.
Yeah, it's
That is
that.
very
But
fascinating.
going going back to your answer, no, I haven't gone to a psychologist regarding that.
Yeah,
And it's also because when I lost my sight, fine, I was still at that mainstream school I was at.
yeah.
And then because this happened around August, September, I was there for the remainder of that year, and then the following year, grade 7, I was there. And
Hmm.
then obviously I came to Prince of. So when I came to Prince of, honestly, it was just more of a sense of relief, really. Like the relief
Ah,
I
yeah,
got from,
yeah.
"Whew,
Oh man,
I'm not the
I
only one."
know, I
Really,
know.
it felt like I remember even crying, but I wasn't crying because I'm gonna be
You're
here
left.
at the
You
school.
just that sense of like you are not
No, but
alone.
I was excited that I could write for myself. I could read for myself. I could do
Yeah,
so many things that I was not able to do in the past year.
yeah.
So, which is why the adjustment wasn't as crazy, because I was like, I'm meeting people who have far more worse eyesights than me.
Mm,
I'm meeting people who already they have better eyesights than me. But then it was that sense of, bruh, I'm not alone.
I
I'm not
know.
alone.
I
I'm not
struggled.
alone.
I got there and I didn't have a huge struggle. Like first day, or whatever, I was very
Mhm.
excited. I wasn't really feeling crappy about being left there. Uh but not now remembering because shit. Yeah, therapy. Na. Ay, man, Bonolo, you see now what you do. I'm remembering my first week was hell. Not at the hostel,
Mm,
but in the classrooms because I couldn't see, right? And they tried to show me stuff on the magnifiers and um to kind of like um move the enlarge the font, and I couldn't see. I really couldn't see.
mm,
And then on top of that, because this is actually something that I never considered, the language barrier was insane because I couldn't speak
yeah.
English and I couldn't speak
Mm,
any other language. I couldn't speak Tonga, I couldn't speak Zulu, I could just speak Portuguese. And there was no
mm,
one to communicate with. And I remember my classmates, and that motto is so stupid, man, for fucking blind school. I don't understand why they had that. The whole moving classes, you go from this class to that class, getting out of this class. Don't do that.
mm.
Let the teachers move
Why?
around. That's just how I feel.
And you know how many accidents that we got into
We
because of
got
that
into
at school?
so many accidents because now you're carrying your own braille machine and bumping into other braillers, and it's so crazy. But during that time, so because I was on the sighted section right there by the primary side by Van Rensburg and all of them,
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up because I couldn't see. I'm new to blindness, and these guys are used to being
Um,
blind, and they just get up and they go to the next class. And I'm like, I don't know where the next class is. I don't even know what the subject is. I cried so much, and it was almost like a
mm,
thing that the guys would kind of hold over me, like, oh, she's crying again. I remember someone said that, like, oh, there we go, she's crying again. I'm like,
Mm.
I am so miserable right now. But then the very next week, they sent me to the special classes, and that was much better because, yeah, we didn't have to move and do all
Mm.
that shit. And that's where things started getting better. But that first week in school, not at the hostel, boarding school was perfect. Um,
Yeah.
that adjustment was insane. I don't even know how I did it without speaking the language. I have no idea how I did that. That's crazy.
But it was good. Something to be very proud of. Also, the adjusting and learning a new language. That's also another thing. Man. That's
And
also
then
another
still
thing.
to learn Afrikaans, I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, but here we are.
But you're here. You did the
Exactly.
things.
We did the things, guys. Survival, right?
I was, I was, I was telling this girl, I went to primary school with her. And when I left, obviously they knew I was that girl. And obviously the teasing, everything, the bullying because of that. And she was like, the first thing she asked me, this was when in varsity. So obviously for them, they didn't think I was gonna make it. I remember they even said it. "Ah, at least, if as long as you're able to write your name, I'll never forget that
Oh
teacher
my
in my life."
God.
Um, and then I got to varsity, so it was that shock. Yeah, kanjani. How did
Yeah.
this blind girl?
Yeah.
How did this
Yeah.
blind girl get here? Like how did and you could see she was also scared to ask me because of
Just that
whatever reason.
stigma.
Because no, because also we're not gonna sit here and just talk about my eyes, guys. There's more to me than me not being able to see. We're not gonna do
True.
that. Also, we
True.
haven't seen each other in such a long time. The first thing you're gonna say to me, you're
Like,
like,
oh shit, you're
"How
here?
did you get?" No, you're here. And I remember when we were even at the library, right? Literally, I was at the library, and you're minding your own business, exam time. I'm in my own cubicle. She's sitting across of me. So with the cubicle thing, there's a board that's dividing us. And someone said Bonolo, and I'm thinking it's one of my classmates, right?
Yeah.
And she came around. I'm like, I'm not coming around. She came around to me, and she's like, Bonolo. So you could see also the stare on her face because she's looking at my books in terms of I have the same book that they have. It
Yeah.
has the UP emblem. It's got
Yeah.
so she's definitely a student, but
Oh my
the look of
God.
confusion on her face of Kanjani, and I'm like, I'm not gonna take you out of your misery. I'm not gonna do that.
You're
Also,
going
I
to
was being a
sit with
bit
it.
of a
No, but
bitch
it's
about
fair.
it because of the bullying. Yeah,
It's
because of
fair.
the bullying I
Fuck that.
took from there. So I was
Yeah.
like, guys, we're not doing this. Like Kanjani, we're not even friends. Go there.
Didn't
How
you
did I get?
feel vindicated and just so empowered by that moment?
Like, no, I felt so damn.
I can imagine.
I felt so damn good.
I can
And also,
imagine.
because that school, like, it's a fairly good university.
Yeah.
So for me, it was also that thing. I'm
Fairly,
like,
girl, come on, don't downplay. I mean, University of Pretoria
okay.
is one of the best in the country.
But it was also that thing. I'm like, I'm even better than some of the people we went to
Exactly.
see.
Exactly.
And I'm like, in your face, matter of fact. In your
In your
face.
face. I love it. Eh. So I want us to go to what I want us to talk about because we can go on forever.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about as women and I like that we actually gave a good background into how we see. I didn't tell you how I see. I see like I man, there's always you know what I see like? It's almost like I'm walking in a
Mhm.
cloud all the time. It's like they smoke all around me all the time. That's how I see.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
blurry and smoky and just fuzzy. That's how I see. So it's like I'm walking in
That's
a cloud.
scary. That scares me.
It's not clear. It's not, yeah, like I can't see
Mm,
far. Like I'm in a cloud. Literally, that's the best way that I can find to describe how I see. And
mm,
I mean, okay, I have a kid, right? And
mm,
you don't right now,
mm,
right? And the conversation we were having earlier in the week was about women who consciously decide whether or not they're going to have a child by a specific man, right? Like if you have sex, you fall pregnant, and you look at your baby dad, you'd be like, nah, nope, I'm not keeping this child, you know? And it is something that's not really spoken about openly, but
Yeah.
it is a thing. It is a
It
thing.
is. It
And
is.
even after you spoke to me, I remember this family, I'll just speak very broadly like this,
Yeah.
had their daughter date a guy of a different race, right? They're not the
Mm.
same race. And the mom
Yeah.
says to the daughter, you're going to date this guy. Your kids are going to be ugly and they're not going to have nice hair and all of that, you
Mm.
know? So I was like, damn, you know? Like, ew. But it is a
Mm.
thing. People
It
really
is.
focus on that. So it really got us questioning. And this also is something that came up with Bonolo's support group, right? And we are going to kind of exchange ideas just to get the juices flowing for your next subject, there with the girls. And
Yeah.
have you thought about it in this way? And we're also going to dive into how we as blind women think about this, because I'm going to take you through my thought process on how I got to choosing and accepting that this is my father of my child, the father of my child. Ugh.
Mm.
And we also just going to dive into like, what do you think? Like, have you thought about this?
To answer your question, definitely. I've thought about how my kids will look one day. I'm a woman. I'm a girl. So I think I can speak for most of us. When you meet someone, especially when you're of a certain age, even
Yeah.
when you're younger, I think it's just something that has just been, we've been conditioned to be that way, whether you want to admit it or not. For
Mm,
most of us, I'm not speaking for all of us. When you meet someone and there's something going on there, you're already imagining your future with this person. So
mm-hmm.
you're already thinking, if this is gonna be the father of my kids, how will my kids look?
Mm,
Can he take care of my kids? Can he, so many things come into
into play there.
but to answer, yeah, to answer your question is, I do think about that when I look at whoever I'm dating, like how will my kids look, and then I'll also think about this person's intellect. I'm like, this person is a smart person, and then we can one and one will make two, so we'll be fine. In my
Hmm.
head, I know this is quite shallow of me to
It's,
maybe think that way, but I do think about that actually. Yeah, I do.
yeah. I think um, I didn't, I haven't thought about it, right? Because I had to actually go back to like, what was my thought
Mhm.
process at the time? Um, so I was in a relationship with, you know, with him at the time, and we were good. At that time, I had decided that I am going to spend my life with this person, right? Even though we're very young, though,
Yeah.
but it was almost like, I don't know how else this is going to play out, right? But also,
Mhm.
I don't know if I thought so much about the looks, right? But I know that in
Mm.
terms of like social standing, that is a thing that I am, yeah, like,
Conscious of.
yeah, that, and I'm not talking about being super rich or anything like that, but I do come from a middle class background. And
Yeah.
the fact that he's
Yeah.
also from the same middle class background, we understand the same things, we have the same
Mhm.
values and all of that.
Yeah.
That was the main game for me. I'm trying to think whether
Mhm.
if he was maybe of like in a lower social standing, like, lived in
Yeah.
different neighborhoods and stuff, like, was I going to have that baby? You know? And it's a
And it's
very
interesting.
shitty thing, right? I
Yes,
really, but
it
at the
really,
same time, I
it
know it
really
is something that women do think about and women do consider.
is.
Yeah, you know.
100%. It's one of those things for me, the why it also came up with my girls that um I really also want to push the boundary with them this year in terms of having these nuanced, uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
Because what you said is true. We do think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why even when a friend is like, I met someone,
Yeah.
we already starting to ask,
Who
how
is
does
this
he look?
guy?
How is he?
Yeah. What does he
Like we
do?
want so much. We already thinking that. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And based on wherever you are as an individual, you also able to gauge what is important to you, what is not important. Because I remember you told me this about when you had Davi.
Yeah.
You were like, um because so much was happening at that time, being pregnant, that you never thought about how my child will look. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like when you told me that, I was like, how? Kanjani? How?
Yeah.
I I know that it would be a thing where it wouldn't obviously be what I am thinking about every day, but it would cross my mind that
Like, I wonder
how
what
will
my
my child
baby's gonna look like, right?
Yes, and it was so, and for me, and let me be honest, which is why I've also been so conscious in terms of the people I date regarding the visual impairment thing.
Mm.
You get what I mean?
Mm.
Where my fear is to be with someone who has maybe a similar eyesight as me, which is so severe, and we bring a child into this world who has whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, how are we going to do this? And we're the three of us all can't see. It
Yeah.
scares me. It
Yeah.
scares me
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's one relationship in particular. No, actually two people that I know that um it was not the main reason, but it was part of the reasons why we didn't work out.
Hmm.
It
Mm.
was part of the, and I'm not even gonna lie about it. It was
Mm.
like a one. I actually blatantly told him, I'm like, guy, it's a
It's not
thing for
gonna
me.
work. Yeah.
Like because I'm really it's because I see how yes we've made our lives be whatever it is, but it is challenging really. Like it
Oh
really is
yeah.
challenging to live
Yeah.
with a disability. So
Yeah.
imagine if I have a partner, my lord, we go to wherever and he can't help me to sign a document because we both can't see. What are
Mm-hmm.
we gonna do then?
Mm-hmm.
So it's those type of things where um it has maybe shaped or yeah
So
shaped in terms of
you have thought of the possibility of, because now this is beyond the appearance, right? Because from from the surface level, from a shallow level, it's the
it's beyond
appearance.
appearance.
Yeah, it's the economic
I think with
status. Like those
looks
are the
maybe
shallow things.
also to go back to the looks thing because I was thinking about this conversation with me even with my eyesight maybe I can't just see a person who's like 5 feet away from me and say this person is good looking.
Attractive. Yeah.
can, I can see their body structure, but I cannot clearly see unless you're like in my face, where I'm like,
And I mean,
this
it takes
person
a
is good
couple of
looking.
times of you seeing that person before you
How
can
many times
fully
if
shape
I
that
mean, you
face.
meet
Yeah.
some exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You meet someone today, they approach you. You're not gonna be like, come close, I wanna see your face. You're not gonna say that. So you're gonna have to just cross fingers that guys, this
I
person
hope he
has
sounds
all
good.
teeth.
I like the
He
voice.
sounds good. I
He
hope he's got
smells good.
you get what I
I
mean.
hope he looks
So
good.
it's so for me, even with like my past in terms of the relationships I've been in, like I've been gambling that part and I've fortunately been satisfied with them when I see them at close range. I'm like, okay, we are fine. I'm
Mm.
safe. Like
Mm.
you get what I mean.
Mm.
And then apart from the looks department, because then it also at a certain point that does not become a thing anymore. You look beyond it. Okay, you're like, okay, I think medically in terms of what do you have? I have this, but with me, I know that it's not genetic. What I have, my condition. So there is a chance that my babies will be fine.
Yeah.
But if you are coming with something that's also genetic or
Now that
bargain
50-50
hereditary,
is now a
yeah,
25 chance or
yeah,
whatever it is. Yeah.
I really do think about that. But also, it's that thing where you also, if you want to take this conversation further, I mean, there's also other things that this child could have that is not related to eyesight, type of thing,
But you see,
right?
that's where this now becomes interesting, right? Because for us, because we live in this eyesight world, right? That is a
Mm,
factor, right? Because we live in this blind world or whatever, we're a little bit more aware of this risk factor of having a child,
mm,
right? Whereas a
mm,
woman who does not have any visual impairment, I don't think they're even considering the
mm,
possibility of their child having a visual impairment. And I would actually like to
mm,
also have this conversation with a sighted woman, right? An able bodied woman who has a child with
mm,
a blind person to understand what their thought process was. Has this possibility ever crossed their mind? Possibly, but maybe it wasn't as severe because they're like, ah, I mean, but we can make it work, right? And you have that comfort because you can see, possibly, I'm not saying it as a fact, right? But we can make it work because fine, he's blind, I can see. You know what? I'll be able to take care of the kid. And he's a capable man. He can do 1, 2, and 3, and I can do 1, 2, and 3. We can make it work. But for a blind woman to get with a blind guy and be like ooh, how is this gonna work? Right? Because we can't even fully
mm,
satisfy or fulfill each other's needs. And now we are bringing a third child, a third person into this world who needs even more attention than what we do. So that factor is huge. But then, for example, we don't ask guys like in what is your cancer history in your family? What's the diabetes
mm.
history in your family? What do
No.
people have kidney failures? Are you likely to have polio? You know, Down syndrome? Is there a history of autism in your family? We don't think about that because we don't live in that reality. Whereas somebody who suffers from autism will consider that. They'll be like, I'm not going to get with another guy who's autistic because now if we have a child with autism, the severity of it might be, greater. And, you know, so it's, it's,
Mm,
it's a very fine line sometimes where I feel like depending on your background, because another thing also that I do know for a fact is a major player, right? Especially for me, is what
mm.
my family thinks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like who am I bringing home to say this is the father of my child? It's gonna be like you had a child by that. That matters a lot. Oh, guys, I
Mm,
need that approval, and it's a toxic. Nah, it's not a toxic thing. I'm not gonna justify it. It is just how it is. It matters to me that my parents feel comfortable with whoever I had a child with, right? Like again, speaking of the social standing, because
yeah,
my dad has worked as hard as he did. He gave me
yeah,
everything that he gave me and all of that stuff. Then I'm gonna bring somebody home who is
yeah.
unemployed,
But I think, yeah,
doesn't have the basics that we have as basics and stuff. And I'm saying, I'm pregnant by this guy.
yeah.
I couldn't. That to me played a
Also,
major role than
in all
my
fairness, I think
eyesight.
I think for a lot of us, we that is also a factor. Maybe it's not in the same degree type of thing, but we
Mm,
do think about how my family, because like you said, I mean, our parents really where you are now.
yeah,
You want it's a stepping stone from where your parents were,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Obviously, you want better for your son. So one
yes,
day, if he also decides that he wants to get married,
yeah,
you're gonna be like, what type of family are you marrying into? Type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
And it's also for me the same thing where my parents have worked so hard to be
yeah,
where they are now,
yeah,
and also it's a stepping stone. So it's I think for a lot of us we do consider that
yeah.
where I remember even with my partner, my dad had to talk with him. In
Mm-hmm.
as much as it makes me cringe, but I see where it's coming from as a
Yes,
father.
yeah,
with
Yeah.
like, where do you work? Where have you worked? Where you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I get with, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because it's that thing where I'm like, he struggled for me to go to the schools I went to. He struggled for me to be where I am now. So
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't want anyone that's gonna
You
set
are
you back.
doing your
And
second degree right
yeah,
now. You're running your own
I
business
get,
right now. Um,
mm,
like in he's had to,
I get you.
where you guys are now. Imagine now you leave that house that you are in right now, and then you move into a shack, all in the name of
Yeah,
love. That's not gonna fly.
mm,
And then you're bringing
I
this guy
get
to
you.
say this is the father of my child. Maybe he's
I
not
get,
even as doesn't have the work ethic that your dad has to get you out of that situation. And it's not
I
like in
get
living in
you.
a shack is a bad thing, but it's one thing to say, look, there are some guys who won't even move in a go into a shack until they have gotten themselves out of then be like,
Yeah,
okay, now you can come and we're gonna live together and we're gonna do 1, 2, and 3, right? But if this guy doesn't even have that basic instinct to like do his role, because look, say what you will, I know we are living in the times that we are living in, but also we are living in the continent that we are living in. And reality is
yeah,
gender roles are a major thing still, even in today's time, even for us, right? They matter.
mm,
And there is such a thing as a man's job and there is such a thing as a woman's job, right? And for the guy to not just do his basic manly tasks, like just get yourself out of that rut, and then you're bringing me in there, and then I'm going to my father who got himself out of that rut, who's been through the
mm,
most to get himself out of that rut and put me in a position of privilege, and I just retard that. Yo, I can't say, Papa,
yeah.
here's this boy and he's the father of my child. Yo, no, I couldn't.
This- That's a very sensitive one. Sensitive in that, um, and I guess that's where I'm at mentally,
Yeah.
right? Where I am right now in my life. Where there's a very fine line between, because I am open to being with someone who's on the come up, right?
Yes.
I am. That's where I'm at,
Yeah.
right? And it is also because I'm fairly in the same bracket as him, type of thing. I'm also
Yes.
on the come up.
For sure. For sure.
So let me even put it more bluntly, right? Financially, I'm not where you are, in terms of, I'm not from a middle class family.
Yes.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
So, which is why I have more grace, type of thing, with
Yes.
someone who's on the come up than you would have.
Then
You get what I mean?
yes. Yes.
But also, like, I'm not gonna be with you when you're on the come up, but your work ethic is not coming up with you,
For
type of thing.
sure.
Like, there's
Yes.
also, you get what I mean? You
Yes.
get what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Hore, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, a hundred
Because the thing
percent.
is,
I
even
like,
for you, right? It's not, like in fast, yeah, it's like middle class and all of that, right?
yeah,
And so was he. So it's that whole dating across or above type. The hypergamy thing comes into play. So even with
yeah,
you, right, where fine, maybe it's not middle class to the level that I was, but for
yeah,
where you are in your neighborhood, you guys are up
yeah,
there compared to everybody
yeah.
else that is just on
Yes,
a
yes,
different economic bracket, right? So
yeah.
would it make sense for you to leave your father's cement house to move into Umkuku
No,
with Johannes? Actually, shouldn't
mm,
have used, but with
no,
whoever, Eric, who is, you know, he does the peace job, Nje, but you have two
mm,
degrees, you know, you have your own
I
business, you are
get
running
it.
your own organization, you're doing your own thing. But then here's this guy who just does gardens here and there. And for the most part, he's just sitting and chilling and drinking and smoking weed, which is the reality of most people in your surrounding, right?
Mm,
So you don't
that's
want to
true.
go there. You want to go either somewhere where it's equal minded, level wise, right? Like in fine, we are both on the come up. But what does this guy have? Okay, he has 1, 2, and 3. He also went to school. He also did this. He also did that. And I'm not saying going to school is the end all and be all, but it just speaks to like, he finished his
I
degree.
get you.
He started this, he started that. He does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then together now we can build up and move up together and 1, so 2, 3, and 4. So you will date across your economic bracket or above your economic bracket. But it won't make sense to your father for you to bring a guy.
And this speaks to just women in general. This is, I think, a part of our being disabled, right?
Yeah.
We women, we want to date someone that we can look up to. All of us. That's why you would want to date your boss. That's where like you said, the whole hypergamy thing. You respect him more because you look up to him.
Yes.
Because he earns more than you. Because there's something about him that makes his status somehow is above where you are.
Yeah.
Type of thing. That is
even
true.
his ability to show up, right? There's very and you know what? I'll tell you now. And I guess this is even for guys who are trying to how can, because it's not about yes, there is your circumstances, right? But there are things within your circumstances that you can do to show a promising work ethic and to show reliability, because those are the things we are talking about, right? So if you're a guy that, look, fine, you don't have a car and you don't have a job or all of that, but you're not burdening your girl to now come in and take care of you. You can at least clean your house. If she comes to visit your house or your shack, right? When she comes there, the place is at least clean. It's neat. The dishes are washed, your bed is tidy, your laundry is done. She doesn't still have to come there and still have to clean the place so that she can sleep there comfortably to visit you, right? If you can do just those basics, and then during the week, okay, babe, you know what? We're not going to talk now. Oh, I can't see you this week because, you know what? I'm trying to get this thing going, right? So you go, you do your gardening job in the morning. That's fine. Or maybe it takes the whole day. But then when you come back, you know what? You're trying to do something else. Like in what you are doing is really trying to get yourself out of that situation. And whenever your girl needs something from you, your ability to show up, and again, it doesn't have to be financially. Can I call you? Are you available? Yes, I'm available, but maybe not right now because I'm busy with 1, 2, and 3, but I'll call you back later. And then you get back to her. Little things like that. Like just that ability to prove to me that, like, you know what? When shit needs to be dealt with, you can stand up and do them. That's all you need to do, right? But again, it's not going to matter to you see, now I'm talking middle class. If I'm talking now to a rich girl who's had like everything middle class is like, come on now. She'll look at a middle class guy and be like, no. I don't care how reliable you are. I don't care how you have your shit together, but you cannot give me half of what I've had. We are women at the end of the day, we still want that part of being taken care of, right? Almost childlike, right? Where I don't have to think about this. My husband is going to take care of that. I'm just going to have to worry about the household and the kids. That's what I want to worry about. I don't want to worry about the bills and bond and personal loans. And that's middle class problems. That's middle class problems. So you're going to take a rich girl and put her with a middle class guy. Then they have to go to the bank. They have to apply for loans and the bank rejects it. Or they have to pay bond and they have to pay for the car and we have to pay for this. And now she has to now find a way to also hustle so that she can support her husband. A rich girl doesn't need that, right? Because she's used to a life where she never had to do that. So whoever is going to step in there is going to need to keep up with that. So this girl can't take this guy to her father and say, Father, my husband or my guy who is in debt is the father of your grandchild. It's not going to fly.
I get you.
It's not going to fly.
I get you. But also, to just go back to what we initially started about in terms of dating with with being visually impaired, right? In terms of how conscious you are, the partners you choose. I've learned this, and for some reason, I don't know. Only now, it's really starting to reveal itself. Um, in terms of I've been rejected because of my eyesight, and it was something.
Yeah.
It was something that I was not oblivious to it, but it wasn't. It was never a thing because I've been with one person who's visually impaired. He's blind actually, and then after more, all the people I've been with, they as far as I know, they were fine.
Yeah.
Um, and
Visually.
then visually, let me put it that way, visually they were fine. And then when I get approached by guys, it was a thing, but it was not a thing. If it makes sense.
Yes.
The moment where honestly, which is why I'm like, I don't know, this thing is only hitting me now in terms of processing this whole being losing my eyesight. That's when it started becoming an insecurity where I'm like, what if this person says no because you're too blind for me? And it happened where I was vibing with someone for such a long time and I really thought this was going somewhere. And he was like, no,
You're
you
too
get what I
blind.
mean? In
Yep.
as much as,
Yep.
yeah, and in as much as I know he didn't want to hurt me or all of it, but I knew the basis of our breakup, if I pull it that,
Yeah.
was because of it.
Of your sight.
And then, yeah, because of my eyesight. And then now, even where I'm at now, I'm with someone who does not even enjoy me making fun of my eyesight,
Yeah.
right? Because also it was that thing where from him, from the ex, it was that thing where I'm like, I need to make this thing known. You need to go. You need to know from the onset, this is my reality. This is what you're dealing with. So let me know right now that
Whether you're
it's
going in
so
or not.
I overdid it. Where I'm like everything now. It's like I can't see right. I can't see right, and you to a
Yeah.
point where he's like, calm yourself down, guys. Like we've already established this. I know this, Kawena.
Yeah.
Why now? Are we making this thing the premise
Such
of
a
our
big deal.
relationship? Or no, we're not dating because of that. Like yes, it's he like it's yeah.
But
Yeah,
that is
but
also,
it
it's what's funny with that. It's almost like a karma now, a karma speech that I'm gonna give. Because the
mm,
same way I'm talking about, hey, you can't go date a guy who can't provide him, right? Um Playing devil's advocate in a way, right? But it's also maybe
mm,
so here's also the reality that we have to face as visually impaired women. I'm going to even go off the bat and say right now I am speaking from a point of privilege because I'm not in the dating market. Um my
yeah,
husband is visually impaired himself. So I've got this down in that I don't need to worry about this, right? But one thing that
yeah.
is true
I love
is
that you just put that out there.
yeah, so that it doesn't sound like I'm ignorant. Like I know that when I'm speaking, what my position is and where my benefits are in this case, right? But the reality is, if I were to go out now into the dating market, you see, the same way that a man has to prove his ability to provide and to be capable and to be supportive and all of these amazing, beautiful things that we want from a man, as women, we hold the same responsibility, right? So, as a visually
Mm-hmm.
impaired woman, we have to overcompensate for this lack of sight to prove to this guy that yes, I am blind, but I can still be a good mother. I can still be a good cook.
Yeah,
I can still take care of the
yeah.
house. I'm still very capable and all of that. So there's that handicap in now, because already women, we act from a point of privilege all the time, right? We already have this sense of expectation, but we don't talk of what we are supposed to provide. We do have to give something in return in order for any
Mm,
relationship to work. And there is that expectation from men, to say, fine, I'm here, right? I'm bringing in the bacon, but now must I still pay a maid to clean when I have a wife who's supposed to clean? But now the house is not
Yeah.
super clean because you can't see.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of man that wants a nanny. But now I
Mm.
need to consider a nanny because this lady, she can't see, and that's the reality of being visually impaired. Dude, how many times, friend, have you cleaned your house and your mom has come then be like, girl, what did you just do? Did you even clean?
Almost every day.
It's always the
Right.
case. It is always the case. I've
To a
never,
point where
it's
even
like,
now, I
fuck it.
genuinely don't enjoy cleaning because then I'm like, no, not because I'm not going to do a good job type
Yes.
of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, I have to be in a clean space. I'll do it, but
It's not to
when
that
I'm home, for
standard.
instance, yeah, it's that thing. Like
It's
even when
not
I'm
to
home,
that
they know
standard.
sweep for me, and then I'll do everything
Yeah.
afterwards, type of thing.
you know
Mm.
so now how are you going to, as a prospect to this guy, for you to be this guy's baby mama, for lack of a better term? How can you sell yourself to this guy to say that? You see, the same way, again, he has to sell himself here to say, look, I'm going to provide. Okay, I'm not a bum. I can do 1, 2, and 3. I'm not going to move you into a shack. What are you bringing to the table? And that's where this whole thing becomes so difficult and so complicated.
But I've learned with that because it's making sense what you're saying. It's just that I haven't looked at it from that angle.
Yeah.
It's a matter of um being honest and comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
In that how you show up, Dion, whether it's in dating, whether it's meeting new people, work, wherever. I kid you not, really. Once you are comfortable with it, everybody else, how they receive it, it's going to be easier for them.
Yeah.
Because even when you date, um, it's that thing where you're like, you make it known. These are my limitations. This I'm fine with. These are and it doesn't mean I'm less of a woman mainly because I can't clean yourself. I can't clean your house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not less of a woman because I cannot sew, I don't know, a button from your shirt type of
Yo,
thing.
please don't do
It's a,
that. Don't ask me to sew. Don't ask me to iron. I'm not there.
it's one of those. No, really, it's one of those conversations because really he also has things that even in his perfect vision, he still struggles with, right? And when you go back to the meaning at disability, it's just being unable to do
1, 2, and
um
3.
one thing. And it's that thing where ultimately it's, in as much as it's challenging, we know this, right? It's
Yeah.
really challenging. You need to also you get to a point where you're like, I cannot change what I am right now. I
Yeah.
like, for the life of me, I wish I could be able to clean for you spotless. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could get in the car right now and, if you are hungry, maybe, I don't know, surprise you with lunch at work or something. I wish I can't do that. Not for aging,
You
but I
can't.
cannot.
Can I flip
And then it's
this
that
now?
thing where,
Upside down.
yeah,
Now I'm going to flip the
okay,
whole thing, because now this is where this whole thing comes full circle. So, because me and you, have these very clear limitations in how we are able to provide for a child or for a partner, right, based on our disabilities. And it's things that we cannot change right now. We don't know what the future holds. Maybe some technology will show up and be like, all the blindness in the world is cured. We don't
yeah,
know. So, going back to then that of how we choose fathers for our babies, should we as women then not start to be more graceful in how we choose fathers for our kids? Because these people also are showing up to us with limitations and difficulties and challenges, but we are holding all of these things over their heads as to why we will not be there, give them kids. but we expect the
100%.
grace from them in terms of, look, these are my limitations or whatever. So you need to understand that it's not because I don't want to, I can't, and therefore I'm worthy of being the mother of your child.
You know, if there's one thing I'm grateful for living with a disability, is that it really has allowed for me to actually see people for people in terms of their genuineness, because we are not what's the word, we're not blinded by, excuse the pun, like you're not blinded by all these external things that are not making sense.
You
get what I mean? Things that are, man, these frivolous things, man.
It allows you to have more grace.
It allows you to have more grace because, as you put it, really, if I can see that a man is on the come up, he's hustling, he's selling whatever, he transports people from guy to guy, or he's working part-time, he's also studying, he's also in, and that man cannot, this is such a stupid example, but this is what I can think of right now, but he can't take me to a vacation to Devon, right? Is he really less of a man than a man who's able to do that? Whereas in terms of when he's doing all of this, mainly, he's loyal, he's an effective communicator, he takes care of me the way I want to be taken care of, right? He leads me, right? He provides for me where, in terms of what I need to be provided for. Because what you need to be provided for, it's not going to look the same. Right? So in that, is this man less of a man because he is not doing what is conventionally considered to be a man?
So add that to this man now, and also some form of disability to this guy. Would you have a child with this person?
If the disability is something that's also gonna affect the quality of our lives, Babush, no, I won't. Because it's gonna make life, if it's gonna be something like disability where it's gonna make our lives more challenging than it is right now, no, I won't.
But granted, right, he is on the come up, he is pushing his grind, he is doing whatever he needs to do and all of that. He just obviously needs assistance. Let's say it's somebody with I think we were too used to blind people, but say blindness. Let's speak to what we know. Blindness, right? Somebody who's completely blind, but they're able to do whatever they need to do to get by. Could you not have a child with this man?
I'd be open to it. I'd be open to it. In all honesty, I'd be open. But obviously, uncomfortable conversations needs to be had.
Because I was gonna say, so this is where
because now we're gonna talk about our future kids. How we're gonna navigate that. How really just the day-to-day running. I'm seeing with the kids at home in terms of if we are both blind or whatever. Oh my God, man, how are we gonna do that?
So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going back to again, right? Why is it that we need to have grace here, right? Or men need to have grace towards us, right? As like, look, it's not that I don't want to do these things. It's just that I really can't, but I will do my best. It doesn't mean that I'm less of a mother. It doesn't mean that I'm less of a woman and less capable of taking care of your children just because I'm visually impaired. But then with a guy who is the perfect guy in by the book's definition, right? The only thing is that he's super blind. And the risk here is that our child will also be blind. Why can't it be a thing of like, you know what, as long as you're taking good care of me and you're making it work, and you're doing what you need to do to show up for me as a man, because they are capable. I mean, we know so many of them, right, within our
Yeah.
circle. Why is it so difficult for it to be an easy, oh yeah, cool. You know what? It doesn't matter what disability you come with. You and I can make this work. Why do we still need to now again start like it depends? That's the disparity that I'm trying to point out with this, because
It's
it,
one of, I think for me, it's one of those inequalities that honestly we find ourselves in as men and women, right?
yeah,
It's not fair that men are judged on so many things, and we as women, we can get away with those other
yeah.
things.
And we don't
You
have
want
grace.
to
We don't have grace towards those things. Even me
no.
saying that I couldn't get with a guy that is not of the same social background as myself and all of that stuff, that's fucked up, right? It's not a fair thing to do to the guy who, like my dad, it's not like my dad was raised in a middle class setting. No, he came from poverty, right? And he worked his way to where he is, and he had me and my brother, and he was able to provide the life that we have right now, right? My father-in-law, the same. It's not like he was raised in a middle class setting. He came from nothing and worked his way up to middle class, and he had my husband and my sister-in-law, and that's why they are also able to have the life that they have. But now I don't have the same grace to the man that is similar to my father. Neither does my father. My father will look at this guy and be like, girl, no, I worked way too hard for you to bring me another person like me home. You need to do better than that, right? So it's one of those things where, so what I'm trying to get with this, it's like in, maybe we need to start looking at things from the perspective of, as women, first, before we say what do we want from a man, because I think we've been loud and clear with regards to what we want from men. We need to start having the conversation of who do we, or what should we now start? We need to now find out, my bad. Okay, let me say it again. As women, we need to start thinking about what men want from us and start working towards making sure that we're able to provide these needs or to meet these needs. It's not a one street thing. It's not fair that the one gender gets grace and the other doesn't get grace based on you're a man, you have to, or you're a woman, you have to. What do men want from women? And let us work towards being that. And
Interested
yeah,
further
say.
because I think also that's also dangerous when you,
It's also dangerous
I
when
think
what? Say again.
it's a bit dangerous that approach. You already look at what men when you look at that approach, when you look at it from that approach, yeah, you need to, we as women need to look at what men want. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get it. But also maybe it's also a dangerous thing because your life will be based on, in order for 1 2 3 to happen, I need to make sure that I am 1 2 3 1 2 3 for this person. And for me, I think that's dangerous. I think for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It boils down to yourself because I'm very big on accountability.
Yeah.
It really boils down to yourself. Yeah, already. I saw this from Matthew something, that guy, that
The
dating
dating dude.
coach. I forgot.
I also
Mm.
forget his name all the time.
Mm. And he said something, Are, this thing of making a list about I want a guy who's 1 2 3 1 2 3, whatever. It's good and well. But give, not give, be that you want the other person to be. Because then when you take it back, when you start making your list where you're like, I want an effective communicator. I want a man who's financially stable. I want a man who is 1 2 3 1 2 3. All these things, I I can bet on my grandmother's grave. If you do this for yourself and you give this to yourself, really the attraction to those type of men, Molor, you guys are aligned. You guys are in the same mindset or the same bracket or the same headspace, it's so much easier to attract that. It is so much easier, really, and it's not even a battle for you to be on some. But I want a six-figure nigga. There's nothing wrong with you saying that. It's
It's not
what you
even
want.
that. It's not from that perspective. I think it's more of the point where I think we have done as women, right? We have done a lot of I want to get in terms of receiving. But we're not talking
True.
about what we want to give. That's where my gripe is. What are we giving? As a mother, if I'm saying to you that you are not worthy of having my child because of 1, 2, and 3, and 4, it means that I am superior in that as a mother, I am more capable in 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Therefore, my suitor needs to be more capable than you, right? What are you bringing? What am I saying that I am providing for you as a woman? Because again, we still need to bring something to the table. We all know what we want to receive, but what do we want to exchange this for? We don't think about that. And that's the conversation that I think needs to happen with regards to this choosing a father for your child. Because what
But
type of a mother are you going to be?
that is
Say, just hold on, friend, it's cutting.
100%. 100%. I think we are being load shed, so I think that's why the network is
Oh,
being.
okay. No,
Yeah, it
it's
went like now at 12, so I think that's why the network
the
is just
network is
acting up
shitty.
a bit.
Okay. No, but I hear you
Mm.
now. Mm.
But no, I was saying, what you're saying, I get you,
Yeah.
and I do agree with you. It's because also really don't forget it's easy for you to say I want
Yeah.
while you're not giving.
Yes.
That's easy. It's easy. Even if you don't want, you
You
demand.
demand. You
You get what I
expect.
mean? It's so much easy because when you're giving, and at that time, in most cases, what you're demanding from people is something that you don't even have your own. Like, oh wait,
Mm-hmm.
not for yourself. Really,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know whether you've picked this up, for a lot of boo, I'm demanding, I want. They get
Mm,
it, but they
mm,
can't maintain it. It
mm,
doesn't work. Those type of
mm,
relationships.
mm, mm.
Some point, he's gonna get tired of giving. When you're still gonna demand more because Luena,
You're not
you're
giving.
also working from zero. You're not giving. It's there's no this word is showing me flames, and I'm gonna say it.
S- Oh, reciprocation.
Reciprocation. That
Yes.
reciprocation.
Yes.
That word.
Yeah.
There isn't that. One time because you're always asking.
Mm,
"Uphela unyaka,"
mm,
but you're not. And in most relationships that I've seen this happen where this guy is so mirror, like filthy rich. And the
mm-hmm.
girl, and I'm not saying you're not deserving, but this girl is coming from a place of I just want, I want. Really, like Bona, it doesn't work. At some point, it
Yes.
becomes, or even both ways, maybe where a guy is not even talking about money, but this guy is maybe demanding even sex from a guy, from a girl. And
Twice a
it's just
day.
a demand thing. But this girl is not getting anything emotionally. It's not getting something that's just for her, that's nurturing her, that's making you want to give more type of
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
The woman ends up
Yeah.
suffering in that type of setting. The
Yeah.
woman is like, I can't, this is not, you get what I mean?
Yeah. You need to pour into each other, right? You need to pour into each other in
Mm,
a relationship. And I think just to even
mm,
close off here is, look, I think a lot of the idea behind women choosing a father for their child has to do survival. I still am a very, very strong believer
yeah.
in just these biological
Yeah.
wirings that we have, right? We are biologically wired in a specific way, and so are men. And I think you making the right choice as to who is going to be the father of your child is necessary for the survival of the entire human race, not just you and your child, for the whole race, right? Because if you have a good man that's going to be the father of your child, he's going to be able to take care of you and your kid, and you're going to be able to take care of the home, and we progress and so forth. So I think there's a lot of biological wiring into that. But if we trickle this down to like emotional desires and needs and economic stuff, it gets a little bit tricky. It gets a little bit more complex. But I think the conversation now needs to start shifting towards maybe also hearing what do men think when they're choosing a mother for their child, right? Do they decide that I'm going to impregnate her because she is the most suitable mother in 1, 2, and 3, and 4? Because I don't believe that this is unique to women. It's just that it's one thing that we don't really like voice out like all the time, but it is a thing. But I wonder also what the thought process is for men in choosing the best mother for their offspring, because that also again plays into that survival role, right? But I want to encourage us women, as always, to think more critically about what we want to bring to like, how can we also participate? We are taking too much, guys. Like, and we are demanding so much. Like, what do we want to give? What do you want to give? What are you willing to sacrifice to progress your relationship and so forth? So that's kind of my 2 cents on that one. Do you have any closing thoughts, friend?
For me, it's gonna boil down to what I really stand for, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking about this or I don't know, even if we were talking about fitness or something, or money or anything. Accountability.
Yep, that's my religion.
Be whatever it is. Be what it is that you expect from the next person. So if you're expecting a responsible father for your kids, be that. Be responsible. Be a responsible mother. If you're expecting a father that's an effective communicator, be that. If you expected a father who's able to provide, be that, right? If you expected a father that's caring, that's loving, that's whatever, be that. Because it's really, really selfish, man, to be expecting things from people that you're not even able to do that for yourself, let alone you in a relationship. Just for yourself, for you. Me, just even how I relate to you as my friend, or how I relate to my mom. If I'm not loving, I'm not an effective communicator. And I'm not saying all of these are easy, but that's where life comes into play. That's where life comes, because we are here because we've gone through whatever, and our lives have just ended up to be where we are right now because of whatever. The effort, man. Like, it's so easy to just be demanding things from other kids, and when now yourself, you're not that, you're not giving that, but you expect that from other kids. Our guys, come on, let's do better, man.
Do not be a hypocrite.
No.
No. So we're gonna leave it here for today. I think God should choose us flowing. I hope it helps for your conversation with the girls on Sunday.
It actually did. I think I'm also gonna, in terms of how I'm gonna,
approach this, right?
Or approach it, yes.
Yeah. Well, so this was our conversation today regarding fatherhood, motherhood, blindhood, all the things. I don't know. I'm still going to say I'm going to title this thing. But I really liked it. It was nice. It also just opened my brain in terms of like in thinking a little bit more critical, especially about the things I say, because I do recognize sometimes I speak and I'm like, did I think about that? And this conversation was one of those that got me. And I like to think and in real time, right? As we are speaking, I say my thought, you lay down your thought, and just debate and think in real time. And I'm very happy that I'm able to have these conversations with my friends, and I hope that you guys enjoy these types of shows. And please remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're on YouTube, and we're trying to push this year, guys. Let's go. So don't forget to share and leave a comment and let us know what you thought about the topic. And yeah, for today, that's it. I love you guys, and I shall see you.
Bye
next week.